Super League spotlight shining so bright. Interviews and news, come join the hype.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Super League Spotlight. We are joined by Neil Harrow. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So, just for people who might not know much about you, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Neil Harrow from East Kilbride in Scotland. I am currently at James Madison University in Virginia, which is a Division One in the Sunbelt Conference. This is my third season here after this past summer spending the season with the LA Sparks in the WNBA. And overall, I think I've been in just 12 years in the States now. Before that, I coached in Spain for 3 years and briefly in Scotland, where I played for the mighty Storm. It was a very how would you explain? It was a very it was not a spectacular playing career. Let's put it that way. So, decided to coach pretty early, and yeah, it's been good. I've been enjoying it, and it's taken a lot of different sort of paths, and yeah, here we are.
We need numbers on this career, mind, this playing career.
God, that's a good question. What do you?
Nobody will know. Just make it up. Like I was like a 15,
I think
sort of guy.
I think I led the whole country in scoring. Definitely blocked shots. Big shot blocker at my 5'6" stature. That was another challenge. Definitely blocked shots. Probably 18 rebounds a game. No, don't. No, I don't. I couldn't even guess numbers. I couldn't really. I played junior local league for East Kilbride. Then I played National League for Ronnie Mather at Paisley for a year before going to Wren's with Neil Patterson. And then
You've just put his name in. You'll be on that golf course listening, delighted.
No doubt. And then I think I played 2 years with senior men's national league at Storm, and played not that much. I shouldn't have played much. Playing behind Kev Scott, who was really, really good. So I thought I could either sit here and be very average as a player, or I can try and coach. And, every player thinks they know the answers anyway. I'm like, I know what I would do. I would do this. We should do that. And every player thinks they know the answer. So I'm like, I could figure this out. So, yeah, I think I knew early that I wanted to coach. But, chased it.
So what was your first coaching role? Like, how did that come about?
The first would have been the Storm women's team. We had a squad. We had a local league team, right? And it was full of people who had played a higher level, whether it was National League. We had Kirsty, who'd played for Scotland and played somewhere in Holland. We had Slav, who was like a former Olympian, right? Former Olympian. Slav was in her mid-50s and was still just really hard to stop. And keep in mind, this is local league. This is Strathclyde League. And we had Suzanne, who's still playing, I think, or at least up until lately. I think Suzanne Burns is still playing. We had players, and that was my first. I was very fortunate to have a really talented team, and we won the league. And I was hooked. I was like, this is it. We're gonna win all the time. And then that was the only year I coached in Scotland, actually. And then I went to Spain the next year.
So you retired from coaching in Scotland with a league championship. Right, I'm done with Scotland now. Let's move on.
That's it. Yeah, I was lucky though. That was the earliest lesson to me that the most important thing as a coach is to have players. You immediately become a better coach when you have good players. That lesson learned.
So you moved out of Spain. Obviously, a big decision in your life to move obviously across Europe. Talk us about the feelings going in that one.
I was really like open-minded about it. Actually, I had a. It wasn't a teammate, but he played. Gareth was a player that played in the Junior National League when I was with Wrens, and not Gareth, Alex Garthwaite. He'd done a summer over in Spain and loved it. And he came back, and I got to know him just by playing against him. And we got to chatting one day, and I think he was in Glasgow. By the way, I have a terrible memory, so these details are probably really wrong. So sorry if anybody hears this and goes, "That's not true." You're right. So he was like, "Oh, mate, you should go to Spain and just try and play." And I'm like, I just got done with college. I'm like, I could do that. Like I was trying to get to the States, and I could. It's really hard, obviously, with visas and stuff. And I had previously done an exchange year in the States and came back and then finished at the West of Scotland. And Alex is like, go to Spain. And I'm like, I don't know, mate. And he like got me in touch with someone who got me in touch with someone who got me in touch with someone. This is a funny story. And I got a tryout with Martinenc, which is a club in Barcelona. And in the tryout, I flew out there. My uncle actually went with me because he loved Spain. He was like, "Oh, I'll fly out there with you and help you kind of navigate this." And during the tryout, I played like whatever level I truly was, I played like 3 levels above that. And I tricked these poor people into thinking I was good. I honestly, I think we just played like like tryouts. You just play 5-on-5, 40 minutes, run the clock, and they're just seeing who. I must have made 11 threes, 11 or 12, honestly, out of like 15 or 16. It was impossible to replicate in the rest of my life. And of course at my size, all I could do was shoot. But it was impossible to replicate. And these people were like, "We gotta sign this kid. He's like JJ Redick." Poor guys. So they signed me, and I played very limited minutes. Because then they figured out like, okay, this is really who you are. You don't really guard. You don't shoot like this all the time. But I was an okay player. I was okay. I wasn't great. So I played there, but as soon as I realized again, like humbly, like I'm not a pro player. I'm not a pro player. But if I get good enough at coaching, I can coach at a higher level than what I can play at. Like if this is the peak of my playing ability, like I can coach here. So I became an assistant coach, just volunteered for an assistant coach that was coaching a kids team, a junior under 18s team in the same club, Gabri. And he was like, yeah, you can volunteer, like free help, fine. But I didn't know Spanish. So I had to learn Spanish. So I started taking classes. I started getting like serious about like got the book. And I tell you what, learning Spanish, and Rona, you were in Spain, learning in that environment is 100 times faster than learning in a classroom abroad. Like you could sit in a classroom in Scotland and learn Spanish, and it would take you 10 years to learn what you could learn in 6 months in the country, immersed in it. So I learned like fast, and they told me like if you can learn Spanish, you might coach your own team next year. So I ended up learning enough to coach at my own team the following year. So they gave me. Am I rambling out of context here? Are we getting there?
No, good.
Just keep going. So just cut me off if I ramble because I will. So there was a team, there was an under 18s team that had played, you get 2 years at U18. So they played their first year in a league and finished last, like 1 and 26, 1 and 27, and got relegated to the lower level. So like, I'm this foreign kid learning Spanish, don't know anything about me. And they're like, you can take that team and try and just do your best. So again, taking the lessons I'd learned from the Storm women's team, I was like, I need players. So some of the kids on the team, great kids, like really good people. And they knew a guy, they were all they all went to school with this guy. And they were like, there's a post player, Pablo. And they were like, if you can get Pablo to play, we're immediately way better than we were last year. So I'm like, the only thing I care about right now is get Pablo on this team. So he came and he was like, I'm not going to sign. Like, thank you, but I'm not signing. I've just signed with a rugby team. And I'm like, rugby? Like, nah, rugby. It's going to be cold. You're going to get hurt. Like, basketball, you're really good. And I've never seen this kid play, but I'm taking all these kids' word for it that, like, Pablo's the guy. So I said, look, no strings attached. Just practice with us one day. Just no commitment. So he practiced, and he's just one training session. And he was like, I had fun, but I'm going to go play rugby. I said, look, did you have enough fun to practice one more time with us? Will you come to one more training session? He was like, right, okay, but like, I see what you're doing here. I'm not signing. Long story short, so like Pablo's taken, this is the summer of, I don't know what year this was. He's taken a summer over in America to learn English. So he's in the States and he's doing his summer camp stuff. And this is obviously before the preseason usually starts. And I can't remember if we actually, I was doing something in the States that summer, a camp or going to watch a clinic or something. And I tried to meet up with him. And this is me recruiting before I knew what recruiting was. And I'm like, Pablo, I'll take a train to come and meet you wherever you are in the States. We'll get dinner. Like, I'm recruiting this kid. Well, long story short, I get this kid to sign with us, and he is hands down the best player in the league. Like, he is Pablo Cafferati, like, unbelievable. So we go 24-2. We win the league. And I'm like, wow, like, this is it. This is good. I have two leagues. I've won them both. Like, I have to keep coaching. I love this. So by that time, all those kids are now 18, and the team folds after the season. We win it, everything's great. We party, we celebrate it, and then the team, like, that's it. They're all too old to play junior now, and they didn't want to keep playing in the club because they were all really smart kids. One was going to law school, one was going to like med school, one was going to be a PT. So like it was all awesome. So I'm like, well, I need a team to coach. Then they gave me an under 16s team the next year, but I had to build it. So one of the guys that played for me with the junior team hired him as my assistant. Hired him like there was money. But he was my assistant. Still a really good friend, Mark Castillo, really good coach, really good friend to this day. And so we start building this team from scratch because the club's like we don't have enough kids, like, go and sign kids. So again, I'm in like recruiting mode. And then we sign 12 kids. And these kids, man, they gave us great hairs. They were trouble. Like, they were like trouble. And we found a way. We won that league as well. And I'm like, this is like the best buzz ever. So it kind of went from there. And I was really lucky in Spain to taste success. And at the same time as that, I was an assistant coach in the same club for Hugo Gonzalez, who is, he was the first European to ever coach in the NBA G League, it was then the D League, it's now the G League. So Hugo had spent a year in the States, really good coach. As I was same time as I was a head coach, I was his assistant coach with the men's team. And we won the league. And I was like, this is awesome. So I was really lucky really early to taste success and just totally caught the bug. And I think once you've won right away, the pressure you put on yourself to continue to win is like, it's almost, if you don't win, you feel like you failed, because that's just what you do. You win leagues. If you've done it early, it's like anything less than that. Like, third place is like terrible, which is not normal. You shouldn't feel like that. But I think that's the way Hugo operated. He kind of instilled that in me. Like, anything less than championship is like, you've missed the mark. So I was just lucky. Spain was amazing for me. I was working 4 jobs because, like, you don't make any money in Spain as a coach or a player unless you're in the top league, like the top senior women's or senior men's league. So we're coaching under 18s and under 21s. So I was a substitute teacher. I was doing English classes. I was doing like PR for bars. like Friday nights, like handing out leaflets for bars, and everybody that like took your leaflet into the bar, you'd get like a €3 commission, and it's like just doing anything to pay rent. So Spain was amazing. I still miss it on a regular basis. There's my long-winded Spain story.
It's interesting you talk about obviously the things that people don't see, that the PR at clubs on a Friday night to make money to be able to coach basketball. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's the same in Britain. Obviously, the lack of money maybe that is available to players, to coaches. What, in your eyes, what needs to be done? What can be done to kind of change that?
I don't know. I don't know, because it's so different here in the States, where everything is funded from so many different areas. Like our women's basketball team spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars last year on just budget stuff. And to think that comes from so many different areas, I don't know how you can replicate that in Europe, especially at the youth level. Like my kids in Spain were paying to play. Like they were paying a monthly €30 a month for, like, because we were paying to hire the court, like strips, basketballs, like they were paying for all that stuff. I don't know. That's like a really big question that I just don't. I don't know how you change it, because look, I also have a bit of a business brain where like revenue has to be generated by the product in order to convince people to invest in it, right? So like if I'm a company in Scotland and I want to sponsor a team, to be able to give them money, here's 50 grand towards whatever, I have to, like, what are you generating revenue wise for my company? Like, or what are you generating for the owner to be like, if I own the team and I'm going to keep pumping money into it, like, what are you generating back for me? So I think there's so many layers of that answer that I wish I had the answer, but I know kids are paying to play. Government is not, councils are not really in a position to either can't or won't. I don't know the answer, but they're not giving a lot of funding to basketball. But the answer will remain: what are you getting back? They're going to fund football because in a way it's their best chance of generating revenue back, which is unfortunate. But I definitely don't have the answer. Sorry.
I don't think many people do. I think that's the point, isn't it? That it's been, I don't know, the same way for so long that people actually don't know what moving forward, what's the best way to do things. Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
So let's move on from Spain. You're this superstar coach that cannot lose.
Hold on. I would say all that, but okay.
What made the decision to leave Spain?
Well, I think you can do that for a while, but how long can you sustain working 4 jobs, 3 jobs, coaching? Like if you ever want a higher quality of life, it doesn't come from making like €1,000 a month from all those different streams. And like I'm sitting there, I'm 22, 21, and I'm looking at like, what does this look like when I'm 30? And I think I just wanted more, like, in general. And I think you look at college basketball in the States and you look at the facilities, the resources, the exposure, the opportunities, and I'm like, I want that. I want it where there's not as many struggles, just to be able to be supported. And don't get me wrong, I would have stayed in Spain long term, I think, if there was more of that, because I think the quality of life is better. I think I was really happy in Spain. I just knew it wasn't sustainable. And that was around the time where the economy in Spain was really struggling after like one of the crises. that they had. So I think it was at one of its lower points. But I mean, Rona can tell you, I'm sure, like there was teams that pros were going from making, like even women were going from making 3, 4, 5 grand a month to making €500 the next season because the money just disappeared. And I think I just looked at that and I was like, what does this look like in 5 years' time? And I got an opportunity to go back to the same college that I'd done my exchange year at for like a post-grad scholarship, like a graduate assistant job where I was going to be an assistant coach and they would put me through my master's and that was the easiest way for me to get my visa at the time. So when that all kind of like fell into place at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I need to jump on this because the trajectory of what that could be like this, whereas I felt Spain was like a lot more limited in what my opportunities. And honestly, there wasn't much to separate me in Spain. I don't know if there was anything to separate me in the States either, but like there's so many coaches in Spain that knew more than me, that spoke the language better, that were better connected. I felt very much it would be hard for me to separate to a high level in Spain.
Sorry, Rona, go on.
I was going to say, you started with the Storm Women, and then you coached boys in Spain, but you've ultimately ended up following the female path. Is that just where opportunities and chances have arisen, or was that a conscious decision?
I think both. I think I've always thought it's easier to get women to buy into doing something together, and I think it's a different experience. I just think if women know that you care about them and know what you're doing and won't embarrass them, you can go a long, long way in terms of getting buy-in, getting respect. Whereas I felt like on the men's side, I would have had to have, you got to be a former player. You've got to look a certain way. You have to be a little bit intimidating. You need to, massage egos a little bit more, and you have to very much tailor to the best player. And I just felt like I didn't want to do. I wouldn't have been as effective doing that, and it's proven to be right. I think I'm able to connect with female athletes easier than male athletes, especially in America, especially here, where I think it's really hard for guys to buy into team when they're told from such a young age from media and their circles and their families, and like, you have to be the man, you have to be the man, you have to be the leading scorer, you have to be like, I've noticed about the States is we compare and rank everybody and everything here. Like, who's better, him or him? Who's the number one player in the country right now? Who is and it's seeping into the women's game, but it wasn't like that. And in Europe, it's not like that. It's not like every week we're just ranking. They say comparison is a thief of joy. Like, they're just constantly comparing everything in the States. And I think it's really hard for these guys to feel like they're enough. Because like, they're always told that you're not enough unless you are. Like, how many times is LeBron compared to Michael Jordan? Like, every single week. You know what? It doesn't matter. And we'll never know, because they didn't play against each other. They don't play against each other. Why can't we just appreciate LeBron's greatness, and appreciate Jordan's greatness? But it can't. Nobody's content with that. It's like, but who's better? But whose legacy? Can you just let them be? And then there's just so many pressures on the men's side here. I would say there's no pressure on the women's side here, but like, I don't know how to get past that. And I think if in the women's game, if you are a real relationship person that pours in and cares and takes time, you can get past all that stuff.
Interesting.
What do you think, Rona? What do you think on that?
I don't know. I just need to know for any coach I've ever had, as long as they're bought in. that's all I care about. Like, I don't care if I'm playing 40 minutes or no minutes. I just, like you said, it's about winning, isn't it? I lost my first game to Storm, ironically, in what, a year and a half the other week, and I was fizzing about it. Probably if you ask me on a deeper level, I'm still fizzing about it because I don't know. It's not a life skill I was very good at, was losing. So it is, isn't it? It's that whole mentality and how you work with it. But from my coach's point of view, I think you need your coach to be bought in and feel like they're doing the right thing, because you need to trust them in the big moments, that they're calling the right sub, they're calling the right play, they've put in the right defense, especially now scout reports are such a big thing. And you see it, especially in the States, the players buying into the program, because they always talk about that in their Insta posts and stuff, like, I love the program for this and that. So no, it's interesting hearing it from a coach's perspective, and I'm always intrigued to see why people go the male or the female side. I think it's interesting.
I think you're also probably easier to coach than your average player, male or female. I think your priorities are probably really, really good, and I think your mentality is probably a big part of why you were so successful and such a good player. Is a lot of people need more than that, though. What you needed, right? Like, a lot of people need like more than just a bit of trust and bought in. And I think guys actually struggle to trust more now because they're getting distracted from so many different people telling them that their coach is wrong, their coach doesn't know what they're doing, and you should be taking the most shots, because again, it all feeds into like, who's the man? And I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's ego over talent sometimes, isn't it? But I guess that's America's obsession with wanting things to be ranked, and it's like the Gatorade this or the Power, it's like it comes down to sponsorship, so it's tagging things in, and it's and there's a lot more hand holding needs to seem to go on now with players and stuff, and
so much
social media, because you're always going to read the one bad comment, aren't you? And that's going to stick with you, not or you're always going to find what you want, like, coach should be playing me 30 minutes and not 18.
Sure.
So good luck as a coach.
There's a lot of hand holding. I think players need more now than they've ever needed before, and I think a lot of it is the external. Like, we talk sometimes, like, what is your circle telling you? Like, whether it's parents, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, neighbor, uncle, like, what are those conversations? If they're mostly negative, like, is that best for you, or is that like holding you back? Because it's really easy to be negative, and it's really hard for a parent to pick up a kid after a game and ask questions like, did you have fun? What did you learn? Were you a good teammate? Or just, we don't have to talk about the game. Where do you want to eat dinner? What do you want to like anything else other than how many points did you score? Why did you not play as much? Well, why is he running this offense? And what is your circle feeding your brain with? And I think it's a really under discussed topic, and it's so hard because I can't outrank your partner. I can't outrank your parent. I can't, because I have you for 3 hours, 4 hours a day. If you go home to that person and all you're talking about is negativity, I can't override that. So I think athletes need to be told, or at least spoken to more about, be really wary of the circle that you've chosen to be around. Like, what are they telling you on a daily basis?
Right, you've talked about coaching, you've talked about being an assistant coach. What is the difference for you, and how have you found those differences?
I think it's tough, right? I think the level that I was a head coach at is really different to where I'm at now, and the amount of things that you have to think about as a head coach at this level is, we all think we can handle it, but I'm like, hopefully it happens for me one day, hopefully soon, where I can sit in the head coach's chair. But I think the amount of stuff that the amount of decisions that you have to make as a head coach at higher levels is something that people underestimate. Not just the amount of decisions, but the speed of the decision making. is really, really hard. So I don't know, like right now, when you've got the scout, Rona talked about scout reports, like if you've got 3 assistant coaches, typically they'll have like 10 scouts each. And you can really see the difference even when you are an assistant coach with the scout for that game, or the assistant coach that doesn't have the scout for that game. Like your level of input, focus, stress, decision making, communication is really different. So I just think it's different. I think every assistant thinks they want to be a head coach, and then every head coach thinks like, God, it'd be so easy to be an assistant again. It's just different. The amount of the types of decisions you have to make and the amount. But hopefully I'll find out one day if I'm capable of doing it at this level, you know.
Absolutely. Let's talk about this level then, your experience in the WNBA. Talk us through that.
It was amazing.
I want private jets. I want I want it all, Neil. This is what we're all here for. We're gonna have to mark this as the WNBA segment. That's
funny. It was something that I still like pinched myself. Like during the season, I was like pinching, like this is not real life. Pinching my, like, this is not real life. Oh, you want names? Okay, I'll give you a couple names. So like our home opener, Kim Kardashian comes to the game and is in the locker room, and I'm like, and we'd heard like a little bit of rumor that she might be there because she was launching her Skims underwear line, and they were going to be an official partner for the NBA and WNBA. And we'd heard, obviously being in LA, we'd heard that she might be at the game, and I'm like, there's no way Kim Kardashian is coming to our game. And like, sure enough, post-game locker room, I'm like, this is not real life. Like, we met Floyd Mayweather, we met her, we met like, there were so many like celebrity role, as you see like in all the Instagram stuff. Like it's like there was definitely a lot of pinch yourself, cool moments. Like you said, like this was the first year that they had charter planes. So like every game you're flying. So it was Delta. It was the partnership with Delta Airlines, and they converted a bunch of what were they, 747s? I don't know, big, way too big, like bigger than what we needed. So, and they were all like first class seating all the way back. So like that was a total game changer, because the schedule is so tough. Like we played 11 games in 23 days at one stage, and like 6 different cities. So you can be in Dallas one night, or you can be, what was the furthest trip we did? We did Connecticut to Phoenix, I think, which is 5 hours with 38, 40 hours between game times. So like you have to eat, sleep, prep, practice, walk through, fly, all those things, and go all the way across 2 or 3 time zones. So I think there's a non-glamorous side of it that you don't see, but there's definitely a lot of perks. But no, I think the amount that I learned was definitely the biggest advantage. Like, because like as much as, yeah, it's cool to meet a celebrity, it's cool to be on like a private plane, it's cool to like, the arenas that we played in were amazing. We played in Boston Celtics arena. We played in, like, obviously our home court was the Crypto, which was the Staples Center, where the Lakers play. Like, there's so many cool moments, but as a basketball fanatic, like, it's all about, what am I learning? What am I getting exposed to here? What am I seeing on a daily basis? What is my preparation teaching me? And Kurt Miller is a basketball genius. He was my head coach. Just has been doing it at such a high level for a long time. He was really good in college, and then he went to WNBA finals twice. He was 2-time WNBA Coach of the Year, and then went to LA. And I mean, he just knows all the answers. He's been doing it a long time. He's like in his 50s, and it's there. You can ask him anything, and he like, there's never like let me go and think about that. Let me go and ask something. He's just like, oh, you just do this. What do you do when they're doing this? You just do this. Well, what if a team tries this? Well, we just do this. And it's like, huh. I think what the tough part for us was we had a really young, and we didn't have a star-studded roster. Like there's teams, Vegas, New York. There's 4 or 5 all-stars on the same team. Like that there's 4 or 5 all-stars on the same. There's 4 or 5 members of Team USA's gold medal team on the Las Vegas Aces team. So like most nights we were just up against a more star-studded team, and we fought hard and we competed, and I think we did a really good job considering we also led the league in injuries. We had like led the league in injuries, one of the youngest and least experienced teams, and then just adversity. But man, I wouldn't change it for anything. I learned so much. It changed how I think about the game. Gave me new networks. And we were also really, really fortunate to have really good people that were on that team, like really high character, hardworking. Rickea Jackson obviously was an all rookie team. Really, she was a number 4 pick. Cameron Brink, number 2 pick. Really good people. Kian Nurse, Team Canada. We had Li Yuru, who's maybe the best player in China right now, 6'7" post player. Just an amazing human. Erin McDonald, who got famous for when she was in college, Arizona, led them to Final Four championship game, and was just a fan favorite at 5'5". You can go down the list. Mm-hmm. So we had just amazing people, and it made for a challenging but really, really good experience.
I was wanting as well when I was saying about names, like player wise though, like there'll be players that you've watched growing up, so to speak, and you were like sharing a court with them. Like, was that not mind blowing? Like, to me, I'm like, who was like some of your wow moments when you're literally watching that player play? And also, I suppose to edge, like, were they also even better? Because I find like you don't get sport until you watch it, So it's like, were you then seeing these
live
players like right courtside? You must have been like, they're even more kick-ass, like you say. You've got Team USA, and
I think absolutely there were maybe 3 or 4 moments. So like anybody that knows me knows that I am one of the biggest Diana Taurasi fans in the world. Like when I was in Scotland, I bought League Pass. So back when, League Pass, where you can watch the games online, they had 2 options back in the day. They may still, where you can buy the whole League Pass or you can buy a 1-team League Pass. I bought the Phoenix Mercury League Pass and I watched most of her games for like years. So like watching the best women's basketball player of all time, they are go ranking people, but like, I mean, no, to me, there's no discussion. Watching her live and having to have a game plan against her, play against her, listen to her talk trash on the court was like, again, this is not real life. I was sitting what I really like about the league is like all the players are really close. There's only 144 players and they're really close. They all respect each other. They all know what it takes to get there. And like, so many of them are friends. And there's a lot of player movement, trades and waves and signs and training camps and stuff. So like, they all know each other. So I think what was really cool for me is I'll be sitting pre-game and we'll do a little bit of film pre-game with like whoever. So like I had assigned 4 players to me, like, and then the other assistant coach had 4 players assigned to her. And then like, so we would be responsible for warming them up, individual workouts. When they want to work out extra, you go and you help them, you rebound for them. And then like pre-game, like film, all that kind of stuff. So I'd be sitting with Erin McDonald or Odyssey Sims and like Kelsey Plum walks up, Sabrina walks up, and they're just chatting. And I'm just like, oh yeah, you're the best point guard in the world. Oh yeah, you are the all-time leading NCAA like scorer of like, oh yeah. And like you said, like I grew up watching these players and they're the absolute best. And they're just normal. Like they're just normal. Down to earth, good people that put on their socks the same as you and I do, but they're just elite at what they're doing. So yeah, there was definitely some I think Caitlin Clark obviously was one that was like, she just had such an aura around her at all times. Like she was just surrounded. Like when she walked in anywhere, like you knew she was in the room. When she's shooting her pre-game stuff, like she's got an army of people, whether it's media or defenders. So like that was Caitlin Kelsey Plum, Diana Taurasi, Asia Wilson was a little bit like Angel Reese was a little bit like that. Where it's just you just know that you're in the presence of like the greats. And then not to mention the people that came to watch the game as well that were kind of involved. There was definitely moments, definitely like, wow, this is not real life. And then when you're competing against them, it pretty much always, it all goes away. As soon as the ball goes in the air, it's like, now you're just an opponent. But there's definitely moments where you're like, wow, that's who that is.
I love how we've gone from East Kilbride to Kim Kardashian to Caitlin Clark. It's like...
Right. I know. It's funny. I definitely feel very fortunate. Obviously, a lot of hard work and sacrifice and stuff, but like at the same time, you need lucky breaks. You need people to take a chance on you. You need so many things to fall into place. So like I'm grateful because when you do think about the journey, it's like and quite quickly, like it happened fast. It wasn't like I always thought like if I can get in the WNBA by the time I'm like 40, 45 and like to happen at 34, 33, 34 was like definitely faster than I thought. And just things just had to really fall in place the right way. So I'm very grateful for that.
We were spoiled a little bit last year with the London Lions having obviously a lot of WNBA talent on their roster last season with Fag Benley, with Gustafsson, Shea Petty, Carly Samuels. The list was huge.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in to British basketball, how is British basketball perceived across in America, or is it even a thing to be perceived?
I think definitely you're seeing more and more. I don't know if the rules have changed, Rona. Have the rules changed to where now you can have more Americans on the team?
SLBW got 5. Okay. But the difference with that is gladiators can't recruit the same because Europeans, like the FIBA Euro Cup rules, are then different.
That's right.
They're straddling too, so you see a lot of teams now, they're made up. But I think for every American, you've got to have a Brit to balance it out. So you couldn't have, I'm pretty sure, 5 Americans and like 2 Brits. But there's also a lot of people being found with British passports.
That's something I don't understand, how some people are getting them like easier than I thought, which is obviously opening. But to answer your original question, I think you, number one, there's more Americans coming over. 2, they're clearly getting paid more than they used to, which is attracting players from really good universities. You know, obviously, you're seeing like Oregon State, and then I think there's a player in the league from Gonzaga. There's players in the league from like teams that you know. And I think it's just the networks, right? It's just like if I go over there from Oregon State, that creates a pipeline for the future from that team. And then if somebody goes over from UCLA, it's like, well, now UCLA knows about that team in that league, and then they're at least thinking about it. So it's just a snowball effect. I think as things improve facility-wise, obviously, we know that facilities are important now that Scotland has an amazing facility. Once those things, because that's the big thing for me, is like if you get players that are coming from major universities and they're coming over and they're playing in facilities that are really, really subpar in their minds, like based on what they're used to, staffs that are really understaffed, no access to physios, which I know is like now it's like not a problem, whereas it used to be, I think, is like medical staff is hard to get immediate treatment. Sometimes I think the resources have just improved a lot. How serious it's being taken is improved a whole lot, and I think, is it still the number one league that quality Division 1 players are looking at? I don't know, but it's certainly way ahead of where it used to be, going in the right direction. I would be curious so London, how are they coming up with those salaries? Where are they getting their funding from? Because like Carly Samuelson.
Oh, Neil, where were you last year?
Sore subject.
That's been they removed the salary cap and stuff last year, and they had a big backer that has all gone
pear-shaped.
the wrong way up. Yes, I could think of the right words there. But I think, like what you were saying there, the Beavers, Oregon State, there was 3 players at the weekend involved in the Cup semi, all had played there, but not really crossed over. And I think, like what you're saying, reputation as well. Plus, it's an English speaking country as well. Because I know when I went to play in Spain, then the club I was playing at, Donna Finney was then happy to put other players there because we got paid. The apartment was our own room. You know, the club did exactly what they said they would. So I think you're right insofar as organisations taking it more seriously and putting out a good product. So now, like you say, if you recruit from XYZ unis, and like you say, the players are moving around so much now, coaches moving around so much, and as coaches, you're looking to place players, and sometimes actually less money for a better product's far better than going somewhere where actually you might not get paid month 4, or sometimes they can. And I've heard some horror stories like that in Europe. You know, people going. I think I was extremely fortunate. I landed on my feet. It was an amazing club. I was more than happy. And I think that's the same, isn't it? For placing players, you might be like, okay, this might not be the step you want, but I guess that's twofold because then you don't want players just coming to British League to use it as a jumping off board, which you kind of see in the men's team at times. But and I guess English speaking is a massive factor as well because we both know it is not easy being in a country. I had Marina on last week who's the flip. She is Spanish, Catalan, but went to America, and how isolating that can be.
Yes. And I think especially for a lot of Americans don't travel out the country a lot until, and then it's like, wait a minute, now I have to go to a country that maybe I haven't even heard of. Like, oh, I've got a contract in Malta, whatever. Like, or I've got a contract in Bulgaria. And like, wait, what? Like, what do they eat there? What do they speak there? What's it going to be like? So like, absolutely right. It's a short plane ride. It's an English-speaking country. It's culturally the closest. You're right. So like, I think you're right. So many advantages. And getting paid on time is a problem that's more common than you would think. So like, you made a really good point. The fact that clubs are taking care of what they're supposed to, paying the players on time, treating them the right way, getting medical resources quickly and high quality, I think is really, really huge.
Right, so Neil, you've come across very humble. Do you kind of give yourself goals and obviously you talk about being the WNBA at 40, obviously that happened much quicker than you thought. Do you look ahead 5-10 years down the line where you want to be?
I don't, I think the second you're not humble, I think it can all go away. It can all be taken away. It can all be like, there's so many good, and Spain helped me with this. There's so many good coaches, so many people that know more than I do, that the only reason they're not here is because they weren't fortunate enough to speak English, right? So like think about how all the coaches in your league, Rona, when you were playing in Spain, like all those head coaches are really, really good. Like could be coaching at this level higher, but like for some reason, language, connections, opportunities, whatever, they're not here. So like, I'm not crazy enough to think that I'm here because I'm the only person that can do this, right? It's like, I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunities and then take advantage of them and work hard and get good. But it's not, as soon as you get carried away, you can get humbled really, really fast in this game as a player or a coach. And it's like players, when they stop working on their game, somebody younger and hungrier comes and takes their spot because it's not like we're not the only people that can do this, right? So that's why you have to continue to learn, be humble, work hard, stay on the cutting edge of what basketball trends are and all these different things. And not to go off on a side tangent, but like, that's what upsets me a little bit about. Every now and again, people will contact me in Scotland and they'll ask my advice, and I'll give them a few things to do, and maybe I'll give them 5 things to do, and they'll stop at number 2. And I'm like, don't tell me you want to be where I am, and I give you 5 simple things to make the first step to get here, and you won't get past number 2. Like you want the cool stuff that comes with this, but like when I tell you that you can work 80 hours in a week And you can go, like, there was points last season, we went 40 days without a day off. 40 days without a day off. So, like, if you can't sacrifice parties and social life and, like, days where you think, is this all worth it? If you, like, in this game, you don't get to call in sick. Like, at this level, there is no, I don't feel good. Okay, well, nobody feels good. Let's go. Like, so, and that's not just here. That's just, this level of sport is there's no, like, players don't feel good. You have to play. Like, sorry, like, you're a pro and you have a this, that, or the next, you're playing. So I think my desire to be good is always been really high and continues to be. And that's what fuels me to keep working and not get complacent and like, oh, well, I've got this all figured out. And absolutely not, because it's ever changing. Anyway, so 5 to 10 years, I don't know exactly where. I do have head coaching aspirations, whether that's at the Division 1 level, whether it's can I get, can it at one stage be WNBA? Maybe. I think you just have to keep your eyes open and make the best of what you have, and then a new opportunity will come, and then you be the best you can be there, and then a new one, just like anything. So I don't know exactly what it looks like. I just know that somebody will, like, value what I've done and want me to be in charge of their team. And when that happens, great. And until it happens, I'm going to work my butt off wherever I am for whoever I'm working for. But I will say, like, humbly, I've been fortunate enough to win 13 leagues or cups, right? And like, at some stage that I think get the attention of somebody who wants me to be a head coach. And when that puzzle gets made, then great, and I hope it goes well. But it might be next year, it might be 5 years, or it might be never. So you just don't know what opportunities are going to be presented to you. Just stay ready and do your best.
It's quite interesting. Your coaching and playing are very similar, really, aren't they? It's like, you talked about, to look all the way back, it was about recruiting, and it was basically about being a people person with the Storm women in the local league. And that's basically, we've had to go and do at WNBA level, is be 100%. A people person and be able to recruit. And I think that's, you're talking about coaches, they reach out to you. It's the same with players, isn't it? It's like, oh, I want to be like you. And you're like, cool, this is what happens. And then they're like, oh, it's like, we talk the 1% in playing, but it's the same in coaching. And I think almost the more I step away from playing, the more I see how much more work every other facet of it is. Like, as a player, I can turn up, I can play, I know what I'm doing, like commentating or podcasting or like delving in and out of people coaching, and that I'm like, that just like you say, there's no off days. No off days. And people really struggle to understand. They'll hear what you're saying and they won't believe. They'll be like, yeah, but there is off days, right? And it's like, no, when Thanksgiving happened a week and a half ago, like, and everybody's sitting down, drinking wine and eating turkey. We had a game on Thanksgiving Day, like, which means the night before you're working, you're playing on the day, the next day's review and prep for the next one. It's like, no, I'm not going home for Christmas because I have to prep. We start conference play on the 29th. That doesn't mean you show up on the 28th. Like we practice on the 26th, and like, I'll have to have a full prep done by the 26th, present it to our staff because I've got the game. We'll have to start prepping the team the night of the 26th, full practice 27th, review, prep, shoot 28th, play on the 29th, and that's our first conference game. So, like, people hear what you're saying, but I don't know if they really get what it takes until you've been in it, and that's that's the reality. But yeah, going back to being a people person, I think what has allowed me to be successful is I want to understand you. I want to help you. I want to build a relationship. Not just, I want her to like me so she plays well. No, like, I want to know what drives you. I want to know how to help you when you're struggling. And it's not me understanding how to help you when you're struggling isn't me saying, how do I help you when you're struggling? I need to know you. And like,
that takes time. It takes investment. It takes when you call me and want to talk or want to shoot and I don't feel like it. It takes me saying yes because I know that in 2 years on a Saturday in February, that's going to help me. You know, so I think it's so much more than people realize, but understanding how people work and how people operate and how they can be helped is your job as a coach. And then you use basketball as the vehicle. Like, so in the WNBA, it was much more, how can I help you rather than I'm here to coach you. They know what they're doing. They need help, not answers. If that makes sense. No, that's maybe the wrong way to put it, but like, it's like, my job is just to help you because you're a pro. It's not teach you what pivot foot to use. Mm-hmm. So anyway, again, I kind of rambled on side roads, but yeah, I think you have to be good with people. You have to understand people and different types of people and be able to help them.
Neil, it's been an absolute privilege hearing your journey. That obviously your passion and dedication is like jumping off the screen to me, and it's been a real privilege to kind of hear you chat, and I look forward to following your journey as we move forward. And when you're head coach of the WNBA, hit us up and we'll be there.
Yeah, I'll get you some tickets.
Absolutely.
You and Rona and Kim.
As I say, Kim, Floyd,
we'll bring Kim back.
Rona and Mark.
So see, why not? Why not, right? If I can be there, we can all be there.
Yeah, the prize for the best name drop of the Super League Spotlight podcast. You've got it, Neil. Nailed it. But no, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much, guys. If I can ever do anything, don't hesitate. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.